Have you ever seriously wondered how the wealthiest people in the world really handle their money? It turns out there's this fundamental secret they get that most of us completely miss. And it's not about just earning a massive salary. Nope. It's about a totally different way of thinking that all comes down to one powerful idea: ownership. Now, take a look at this. What's so interesting here is the common thread, right? You've got entrepreneurs who own businesses, investors who own assets, even people with rare skills who, in a way, own the unique talent. The one thing they all have in common: they own something. You know what group you won't see on this chart? People who only earn a salary. And that, right there, is the crucial difference. And this quote, wow, it just nails the core mindset shift. This is the secret. It's not about just working for your money. It's about making sure you own things that are working for you. It's a really simple idea, but once it clicks, it changes absolutely everything. So the big question is, how do we start acting on this? Well, this is where we go from the big idea of ownership to a real, concrete plan. We're moving from the what to the how. And the how is a surprisingly simple but incredibly powerful framework that literally anyone can use no matter what your income is. It's called the 25-15-50-10 rule. See, this whole rule isn't about wishing you had a bigger paycheck. It's a proven system for managing the money you have right now to build real wealth over the long haul. It's all about taking control and giving every single one of your dollars a very specific job, broken down into 4 key areas. So first things first, we've got to start with the most important part of the rule: growth. This is where you actively start building your ownership stake. This is where you make your money start working for you, instead of you always working for it. And the rule is simple. The very first 25% of your income, right off the top, goes towards growth. Not after bills, not after coffee, but first. This is the money you use to buy assets, things that actually increase in value over time. And let me tell you, the earlier you start, the more powerful this becomes. To see just how crazy powerful this is, let me tell you a quick story about 2 friends, Billy and Phil. Billy gets a head start. He starts investing $200 a month when he's just 20 years old. His friend Phil, well, he waits until he's 30, but to try and catch up, he invests more, $300 a month. And they both keep this up until they're 60. So who do you think put in more of their own cash? Well, if you do the math, Phil, the guy who started later but invested more each month, he actually put in a total of $108,000. Billy only invested $96,000. So Phil must have ended up with more, right? It just makes sense. Wrong. Not even close. Let's assume a pretty standard 10% annual return. Phil's investment grows to a very respectable $678,000. But Billy? His account is worth over $1.2 million. He invested less of his own money but ended up with nearly double. That, my friends, is the absolute magic of compound growth. And it's why starting now, like right now, is so critical. Okay, so where do you put this growth money? Well, think of it like a scale of risk and reward. For most of us, starting on the lower risk end with something like index funds is a really smart move. You're not trying to be a hero and pick the next big stock. You're just buying a tiny piece of the whole market. As you learn more, maybe you explore things like real estate investment trusts or REITs, which let you get into property without having to buy a whole building. And hey, don't ever forget, investing in your own high-income skills is one of the best assets you can possibly own, because no one can ever take that away from you. But look, building that growth engine is only half the battle. You also have to protect it. And that brings us to the second part of the rule: stability. This is the money that keeps you in the game when life, as it always does, throws you a curveball. For this, you're going to allocate 15% of your income to build a stability fund. This isn't growth money, okay? This is your financial shock absorber. It's the thing that prevents one unexpected car repair or medical bill from derailing your entire plan and forcing you to sell your investments at the absolute worst possible time. Trust me, I learned this one the hard way. When I was 18, I bought this old VW Golf on a loan. A few months later, boom, the engine blew. I had no backup, no safety net, nothing. I had to borrow even more money, piling on debt and so much stress. That broken down car literally set my finances back a full year. A stability fund would have turned that total crisis into just a minor inconvenience. And there are 3 golden rules for this money. These are non-negotiable. 1, it has to be easy to get to. Think like within 24 hours. 2, it has to be zero risk. I'll say it again. Do not invest your emergency fund. And 3, it should always be earning something, even if it's small. A high-yield savings account is absolutely perfect for this.
Okay, so with our growth and stability funds in place, we can finally turn to the biggest piece of the pie for most people, essentials. This is where we cover our needs. But the key, the absolute key, is to manage it with intention so it doesn't sabotage all our other goals.
The rule here is to cap your essential living expenses. We're talking rent, groceries, utilities, transportation, and a maximum of 50% of your income. This forces you to get real about what you truly need versus what's just stuff.
You know, when I was 20, I had this friend who always looked the part. He had the designer clothes, the expensive watch, the whole deal. I was the complete opposite. But here's what nobody saw. He had about $40 in his bank account and a stack of overdue credit card bills. Me, I had over $1,000 quietly growing in investments. Looking rich and being rich are two very, very different things.
And that brings us to the silent killer of wealth building, lifestyle creep. As you start to earn more, it's so tempting to spend more. A nicer car, a bigger apartment. But that just keeps you on the treadmill forever. Capping your essentials at 50% is the system that stops lifestyle creep dead in its tracks.
So to help you stay on track, I want you to use this simple 3-question filter before you buy something. First, is this an impulse? If the answer is yes, just wait 7 days. You will be amazed how often you just don't want it anymore. Second, are you paying for the brand or for the actual value it provides? And finally, will this purchase genuinely, meaningfully improve your life? That little pause creates intention. It's a game changer.
And this brings us to the final and maybe the most overlooked part of the whole plan. The piece that makes the entire system sustainable and, I'll say it, actually enjoyable: your rewards. That's right, a full 10% of your income is specifically for you to spend completely guilt-free on whatever brings you joy. This isn't a failure of the system, it's a built-in feature.
I want you to think of it like a cheat meal when you're on a diet. It's the strategic release valve that prevents you from burning out. Saving and investing with zero joy feels like a punishment. And you know what? Punishments don't last. This 10% is what turns building wealth into a lifelong positive habit.
And the best way to use this fund is on things that give you lasting value. I'm not just talking about more stuff. I'm talking about memories. Spend it on a vacation. Invest it in a hobby you're truly passionate about. Create amazing experiences with people you love. That's the kind of spending that actually enriches your life.
So there you have it, the 25, 15, 50, 10 rule. A complete framework for taking that control. Because here's the truth. Your money is already following a plan. It's either following the plan of marketers and banks and your own random impulses, or it's following yours. The only question left to answer is, who's in charge?